Okay. Okay. Let's see if that's happening. Yes, we are live, darling.
Okay, dear.
Just a second. All right. We are on.
Tinie.
Sophie! How awesome to see you. And
You
thank you
too,
so
dear.
much for being so calm and awesome.
Oh, not always. Well, thank you for
Yeah.
mucking through and sorting out all this technological stuff, because you're the one that's dealing with it all, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So yeah, nice one.
Dealing with it is one way to describe it. Oh.
Well, it's working. We're live, so let's go for it.
Yes, let's
So-
do it.
Should we were just talking about, before we went live, about putting cards for the collective, and we were thinking about the week ahead and something to focus on. Just a 3-card pull, something to focus on. Oh no, actually it was like a general situation, then
Yes,
something to
what's
focus
going
on, or current
on.
energy, current
Yes.
situation. Second card, something to focus on, and third card, advice.
Exactly. Are you gonna
Yeah.
do the honors?
I don't mind. Do you want to? I've got 3 decks here. I can pull some cards.
Okay.
Will you? Yeah.
Yes. Go for
Okay,
it.
shall I pull the first card then for the
Yes.
current energy?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm going to be using the Lightseers Tarot for this first one by Chris
My
Ann.
favorite, yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. So can you see that? Or do I need to go up or down?
Ah, yeah, this is what deck. I was thinking about the shadow, the other one, but this is also a very cool deck. You can go a little bit more up actually, because I adjusted the settings a little bit. Aha, interesting. Ah, it's the Justice card.
Can you see it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the Justice card for the energy of the week. I really like this Justice card. Because I don't know if you can see that this side, when it comes up upright, the lady looks really calm, doesn't she?
Yes.
Everything's in beautiful balance, and it's as if everything's very very fair. I get a real sense of fairness and calm fairness. But then if we turn it upside down, can you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yes. What is this? What is this expression on her face?
Well, I just think that there's a lot more effort. It's harder for her to be fair, or it's harder for her to kind of seek that balance. There's more effort involved in that face, isn't there? That person's kind of has to work to get the justice, has to work to get the balance and the fairness. But the kind of this upright is more serene and more gentle, really. So I think the situation for this week is definitely going to be around the theme of fairness, and also about being fair to ourselves, looking at whether there's things in our life that are out of balance. Sometimes I feel like when we're reading tarot, we always bang on about balance, but yeah, there is so much in tarot about balance, right?
Of course. And I think this is maybe the thing that we came here to learn as humans, to find a balance between all the elements that were given to us. This is a story of tarot also, no? All the elements and then how we balance them. I mean, that's how I see it.
Yes.
It's different for
definitely
everybody,
is.
though. This is the interesting thing. Like, what works for you might not work for me. So it's again also about figuring out who you are and what is your truth, no, and your ideal balance.
Yeah, it's interesting. That makes what you just said made me think about what's right. What is the right thing to do is maybe not always the accepted thing to do.
Oh,
That's the other thing, and so I think that's another point to consider. But overall, I think it's looking this week. The theme is of balance in the sense of fairness and being just and being fair to ourselves, and thinking about the decisions that we might need to take this week and what consequences they might have on others.
yes.
Yeah.
Interesting, because Kaipacha was actually talking about law also, and the sense in laws, and that there's actual 7 natural laws that are accepted as, this is for everybody like this, and this is something that we need to deal with and accept, and this is like universal law that we need to, how you say this, comply to, or is that the
Yeah,
like
to comply to. Are you talking about, but you're not talking about actual legal frameworks, are you?
No, actually, I'm talking about
Yeah.
the universal things, like
Yeah.
what goes around comes around kind of thing, that everything is connected, that everything's vibrating, that everything's mental, that thoughts become things, this kind of thing, no?
Yeah.
These laws.
Cause,
And this is
cause and
the,
effect.
yes.
Cause and effect. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think sometimes, especially with what's going on at the moment in the sort of with the pandemic, there's a lot of judgment going on, isn't there? There's a lot of
Oh my God, yes.
there's a lot. This is a big issue right now. Certainly in my life, there's a lot of people coming forward with their different ideas, and I think when all is said and done, all we can really do is set our own standards, but be aware of how those decisions might affect others. I think that's probably a good theme, a good way to leave it for this week.
Yes.
Do you want to pull a card for what to focus on with
Yes.
with the thread of that justice card in mind?
There was something else that came to my mind about the justice card when I thought about like the archetypal lady of justice, the blindfolded lady of justice with the sword and the scales. That the sword is about individual choice, and that the scales are about the universal balance that will return. The kind of what comes around goes around thing. So with the whole pandemic story and what's going on politically, and also a little bit inspired by what Kai Pacha said last week, like there are certain currents and events that are so big that as an individual there's not much you can do about it, and these are the kind of things that will find their place and balance eventually without us doing much. But then of course, what position do you take, and what are the things that you can do and do matter for the people around you and for yourself. So the smallest things can make a difference. So I pull out the 10 of Wands from the Ostara deck. You see it?
Yes, I can. Oh, it's a lovely deck. So that's a really cool 10 of Wands, actually, isn't it?
It's a whale.
Oh, I can't see that so clearly. Is it
There's
really?
actually a whale.
I can see a hand. What looks like a hand.
There's a bunch of hand. Like, let me tell you what I see. Yeah,
Okay.
there's two. Actually, there's a whale embraced by this. You see the silhouette of a woman. I think it's a woman. This bluish. So this is a body with arms embracing a whale.
So what do you think that means? That's
And
kind
this
of quite
whale
a
is
mad
like
representation of 10 of
swimming
Wands.
upwards, and the wands are kind of like floating around in the water. Well, I imagine the whale to be this. It's an ocean, like the biggest creature in the ocean, and the ocean is this emotion, feeling, heart. And then connected to the wands, like strong emotions, like desires and the drive, the things that are not really in control. And then how this figure is kind of embracing it, to keep it together somehow, to integrate it, to own it, to make it part of you, to accept it.
Yeah, I think there's quite a lot in the 10 of Wands about owning it and about it's easy to become overwhelmed. It's easy to become overwhelmed,
Yes.
isn't it? In the 10 of Wands, so it's time to act. I always feel like the 10 of Wands is time to act. So relating that back to justice and to fairness.
I don't know. Maybe it's time to really do what you have to do, and to do it from your heart and from the gut feeling. And not so much from what culture dictates or what seems to be expected of you, looking at the mainstream media and what's been told in the news. but to really go back to the basics of being human and having a heart and feeling the feelsies and to behave accordingly. Maybe just to be honest with ourselves, no, and to dig deep also, and to the whale. The whale seems like a scary creature at first, right? Like I can imagine people who first met whales were really like, "What, sea monster?" But then actually whales are so wise and calm and family oriented and loving. So instead of turning away and being afraid of what's going on inside of us, to really like get to know it and let it be, maybe, no, and then act from that place of calm, from that center. And this is also something that you see in that card. There's kind of like the center, the eye of the storm, you might say.
You're really like drawn to the center. It almost looks a bit like that whale's
it's
breaking free, breaking out of that restriction.
Yes. And I'm imagining this calm is like the stillness inside of us, no? Our bigger eye that is always present, no matter what turmoil is around us, and to go back to that place and then to act from there instead of from all that crazy emotion and opinions and all the stuff that's happening right now in the world, I guess. Yeah.
Cool.
This is a little bit like your shadow deck. I haven't worked with this so often yet, so it's also for me every time like a little bit of like, what's going on here?
It's a really interesting picture of the Ten of Wands, isn't it? It's not. It's one that really you could look at for a long time to get the messages, I think.
Yes.
It made me think a whale is. I think of like almost like a silent strength with the whale as well, which is you're talking about that sort of strength of coming within, and yeah. So should we put a final card for advice?
Shall I?
Go for it.
Oh, wow. A card just fell out. Let's see.
Okay.
It popped out. I hardly touched the deck and it popped out like this. Is the Three of Pentacles. I don't know. The first thing that comes to mind is kind of like do the work. I don't know why. She doesn't look like doing the work though, but like
she looks like the most chilled Three of Pentacles worker I've ever seen.
She looks a little bit dazed and confused to me.
Yeah, but it's interesting that because before you even turned it over, when you said the Three of Pentacles, I straight away thought it in my mind about working together, finding ways to work together. So it's quite interesting because the first card was Justice and about the themes of fairness and decisions that we take and the consequences that they have, and how this is probably a theme that everybody's having. And then we moved on to the Ten of Wands, where we spoke about wanting to like making decisions based on very heart-centered decisions and breaking free. But somehow the Three of Pentacles seems to link it all together and say to me that the answer is in all of those things. Actually, the answer is being able to work together, because on one hand something that we might want to do or that we feel in our hearts might not be the best thing for somebody else. So I think it really does come back to that whole considered action. So it doesn't mean don't listen to what you want to do and what your heart's saying you should do, but just blend that beautifully with the idea of what's fair and what might be good decisions for others, and kind of work. And I also feel like Three of Pentacles I also traditionally always think of as a card of working together. So I think again it's about how can we work with people to get to a solution, and obviously I think dialogue's a huge part of that.
Yes. I don't know, the Three of Pentacles, when I learned to read the tarot, like really with the numbers, like restricting myself to the numbers and the suits, the Three of Pentacles kind of makes me think of when you start to work on something and you do something with the matter, you work in the matter, then things sometimes come out that you didn't really expect beforehand. So just like that's what I was thinking about, like if you do the things, like if you start the work and if you do it with like coming from really who you are, working together with other people, obviously also with their individual inputs, then things might emerge that you never even expected. Like the unexpected things might happen, and more beautiful and more amazing than you could have imagined beforehand also. So yes, because the tree has this like kind of impulsive, blurty, popping out, like something's
Creation,
coming
yeah. You
out.
can imagine
Like,
squeezing two together
yes,
and pop, out
yes,
comes
and
the
something
third.
bloom comes
Yeah.
out, and you know something's coming, but you cannot really tell what's it gonna be like, how it's gonna look. Like
So,
when there's a baby due, right? You also don't know what's gonna come out.
so basically, use your sense of fairness and consideration for others, as well as your intuition in feeling out what the best thing to do is, and perhaps work with others to create something, to create a
Yes,
solution.
exactly. And who knows, maybe to build a new society at some point. Exciting.
Steady on, Tinie, steady on.
New ways, new ways. Yeah, well, one can only hope or dream at least.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Dream we must.
Yes. Well, I
Do you
guess
like
we are left to pulling cards for one another, for
Yeah,
each other,
okay.
because so far no
That's like
visitors.
I think that as well it's kind of like our timing is somehow not
Yes,
right with this, because sometimes I feel really in the zone and just now's the time to do it, but because of schedules and work,
exactly.
you can't just hold you up and
Yes.
expect you to be free. Um, so let me pull a card for you anyhow. What would you like to some insights on?
Let's ask a question about work. Like, what should I focus on work-wise? And I'm not talking about I'm talking about school actually, my teaching
Okay,
job.
yes. Okay.
Because
Which, by
sometimes
the way,
I
which
feel a little bit overwhelmed and not so inspired. So what can help me to really kind of respark my enthusiasm?
okay. Why do you feel overwhelmed?
It's a lot of work. And also the students that I'm working with, they're lovely people, but they are coming from very difficult situations. Most of them come from countries at war, and it's so hard for me to not think about that and to kind of like park that and let it go. And then
Are you teaching English
I
to
got
them?
it. They're Dutch. They're learning Dutch.
They're learning Dutch.
Yes, because they're refugees, right? They want to make it here and start new lives. They're gonna have to find jobs also at some point. And many of them live in these refugee centers, sharing rooms, not having any money, like completely depending on our system. And they're so grateful and sweet and like not complaining. And I'm thinking, oh my God, these people had perfect lives with nice houses and jobs and everything, and then because well, it's just frustrating for me that this still exists in this day and age, that there's bombs and guns and people killing other people for some nonsense reason. And it's painful, yeah. So it's sometimes difficult for me to kind of like, what the thing is that I tell myself, like, it doesn't help to cry. Like, you don't help these people with like crying over it. So get yourself together and just do what you have to do and be a good teacher for them. This is, I guess, the best I can do. But oh, those emotions, Sophie.
No, I can imagine,
I
dear.
get
I can
angry
imagine
and
that that is very
frustrated.
emotional job.
I get
Yeah.
angry and frustrated, like, because as much as I love my students and I want to I want to really help them to make it here, they shouldn't be here in the first place. You know what I'm saying? And not because it's not like they shouldn't be here as the country shouldn't be open for refugees. No, like there shouldn't be any wars to begin with, no?
Yeah.
It's only obvious that we should welcome them, but like why are these conflicts even happening? Like why are innocent people chased out of their homes, and why do they have to fear for their lives? Like it's so, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like,
Yeah.
very difficult to accept this kind of thing.
Okay. So what I was going to ask you was, which deck would you like me to use? I've got the Anna Kay, the Light Seers, or the Robin Wood.
The first one.
The Anna Kay. Okay.
Yes. This is the shadow one, right?
I really love. It's not the Shadowscape. Do you want me to use the
Ah,
Shadowscapes? You love the
yes,
Shadowscapes,
I love
don't
them
you?
so
Okay,
much.
it's the one I didn't
Yes.
even offer you. Okay.
Which one was that first one then? The Anna Kay?
Anna Kay Tarot. I do really like the Anna Kay Tarot. Actually, it's fast becoming my go-to. But let's use Shadowscapes. I hope you can see the image okay, because they're very intricate.
I will. We will figure it out.
Okay, so what can you do for inspiration?
Yes. And to like keep it together.
What can you do to feel inspired? Let's pull the card for that first. Okay. All right, so I actually pulled 2 cards, and the first card that I pulled was the Two of Cups. I think I pulled this for you last time, the Two of Cups.
But not like this. I haven't seen this card before.
Okay, show you.
Maybe
Let me hold
maybe
it
you
up.
took the two.
Can you see it?
Yes.
What can you see?
I see a tree, and then like some other kind of there's a figure that is like intertwined with the tree. It's like a ghosty thing.
Yeah, it's like 2 tree folk, a man and a woman.
Aha.
Can you see? Hang on.
Yeah. Ah, it's actually two trees, huh?
2 trees. Yeah.
Because I only see one body.
Yeah, they're so intricate, the designs. I so wish the Shadowscapes Tarot was bigger.
Yes.
Especially the older I get and my eyes are starting to fail. I find myself like this. Trying to take it in and then like that.
You need a
because
spying glass.
Yeah. But I mean, Tinie, ultimately the Two of Cups is a card of union and bringing together. And bringing together, I mean, here we have opposites. So, you talk about opposites of, I think about, from what you're explaining, yourself on one side, and then these people are like from another culture. They're almost like, if you think about they're coming from an opposite experiences from you. You're 2 opposites. So I feel like the inspiration lies in what you can bring together. So in how you can bring those different experiences and fuse them to make something very inspiring. So in other words, how can the people that you're teaching be more proactive in what you're doing? Like, can you brainstorm with them and get their ideas? Can you kind of have some session which is more interactive? I don't know whether are you bound by curriculums? Are you bound by...
Yes, and we have beautiful material to work with, and usually it's very interactive. But the thing is that with Corona, everybody's now obliged to stay in their seats. There is not so much. I mean, they can still speak with their neighbors, but they have to stay in their seats. Like there's not so much space for really playing games and moving around in the class.
How old are these participants?
They're grown-ups. But they're 3 hour. They're 3 hour. The sessions that we give are 3 hours, so they're quite long also because they cannot move around. Usually we have a lot of like different teaching ways, like different ways of bringing something. But anyway, like it's fine.
I feel like if the message of this card is if you can somehow get some of their experiences and skills into the material or into the lesson, or somehow be able to, so in other words, you are able to learn from them as much as they learn from you. So you somehow can make all their experiences and cultural background relevant and integrated into the lessons. I don't know how you can do that. Maybe with some more interactive, maybe with some more breaks in the actual curriculum and some more interactive fun games that you can do even with people in their seats.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well, we
some,
speak a
I
lot
don't know.
about their countries, you know, like there is like, you know, visiting each other. How does that work? Do you bring a present? How do you address each other? Are you like, you know, do you leave your shoes at the door? Like this kind of thing, you know.
Oh, something
Like
else
we
which is
have a
really
lot
nice is
of
also about cooking, right? So maybe if you were talking about some
food
cultural
and
dishes,
yes.
maybe people could actually cook. Maybe people could actually go home and cook, and then they can swap the meals. And you may actually, and then everybody must come back and describe the meal and use the five senses to describe the meal. So the taste, the smell, the sight, everything. Like just somehow, if you can think of ways to bring your differences together to create something holistic from the different experiences, to celebrate the differences and to bring them together.
Yes.
Maybe look to them for inspiration, look to your students and their backgrounds and their cultures, and try to get them to engage and be as much a part of the process as you.
Yes.
That makes any sense.
No, it does. It does. There's already a lot of that, but the thing is, it's just a little frustrating now with the whole corona thing, and you cannot see their faces, and
Oh,
it's
because
like
everybody's in masks.
everybody's wearing masks. There's like the whole food story. It would be nice, but we're not allowed to eat in the class, so we would have to like limit ourselves to pictures and little video clips of what's happening in the kitchen. But this could be fun. Like I could ask them
I think that could
to
actually
make
be really
them
fun.
to
Everybody
make a
using the medium
video of
videos.
something that they are cooking, and yes.
Yeah. And then they can describe it, or they can actually cook it, show the process, and then maybe they need
Yes,
to
and
explain
speak
how they
about the
cook it, write the
recipe
recipe.
and yes, and most of the people in the class love cooking. We've discussed this already. Like this is one
Yeah.
of the topics that we love to talk about.
Yeah.
Food
So
and
I
likes and
guess
dislikes.
somehow looking at how within the restrictions that are currently upon us,
Yes.
how you can really look at getting creative within those restrictions, involve them, dialogue with them, get them to give their ideas, get them to bring things to the table. Because multiple minds is so much better than just one mind. So you're going
And
to
they're
feed off
grown-ups
each other.
after all,
You're going to feed off
so
each other. Maybe if you start the lesson with like, okay, hey, this is a situation we're in. What are your ideas? Let's have them. And then when one person thinks of one thing, something else will grow from that. So yeah, going back to your Three of Pentacles story, you don't really know what's going to be created
what's gonna
until
come out
the
until you
minds
try
rub off
it.
each other.
Yes.
And
Thank
what
you
was the
so
second part
much.
of your
Yes.
question?
How can I keep it together? Like not to get too emotional about the whole background story.
Okay, so you got the World. And I look at this World. I love the World card. Generally, it's such a cool card to get, isn't it? The Major Arcana card.
It's difficult to make out what's happening though. This is like a female figure with skirts, I think. Or I don't know.
Do you want me to hold it closer
Very
or further away?
difficult to see. Closer. Holding a globe. Yes.
She's holding her globe, but
Yes.
and she's really intently looking at it. And then there's almost a
all
window
the planets
through the trees.
Wow, and
Yeah.
it's a perfect circle. Yes.
But you know what's really interesting is the World is a card about. It's about so many things, but it's about success. It's about achievement. It's about thinking big. It is about connections. Very much I feel like the World is about connections. A connection with your environment and the universe and where you are, but also connections with others. And I always think about connecting with others on a global scale. I feel like the World really is about those kind of connections. But interestingly, in this card, which is unusual for the World, the lady in it is really just, she's not being very expansive. She's just looking at her own globe. Could you see what I mean? She's not looking at that big expanse. She's just looking at her.
I can't really make that out of the image.
Oh, that's why I don't like using shadowscapes.
Yeah, because we can't really see
so
it.
intricate.
Yeah.
She kind of looks a bit sad, which is interesting because, you know, that's kind of how you feel. I think she's focusing too much. She's focusing too much on. She's being too insular. She's focusing too much on one aspect. She's not really she's not looking at the bigger picture. I've completely forgotten what your question was.
It was about how do I keep it together?
Okay, I think you keep it together by zooming out.
Yes, seeing the bigger picture.
You
it
keep
makes
it
a lot of
together
sense.
by not being so narrow-minded with it all. Zoom out, accept that there's things that you can't understand, accept that there's things that are bigger than you, but also be active in the areas that you want to progress in. So you want to be able to oh my god, I've forgotten it again.
I want to be able to keep it together. But everything you say makes a lot of sense, though. Like, all you can do is say what the card says, right? And it makes a lot of sense so far. So please do continue.
Okay, so hold it together by actively by actively learning to accept that there is a bigger picture, I think, and by not getting so stuck in your own world and your own head, and just relaxing. Actually, relax.
Yes.
Just relax.
Thank you.
Sorry, am I terrible? Was that, oh god, forgot the questions. Wittering on.
Do you have a question for me, Sophie, to wrap it up?
How can I improve my memory?
Random. But are you serious? Like, this is the one you want to know?
How can I focus on focusing? How can I improve my focus? How can I train my brain?
Wow, all these beautiful rhymes, Sophie. The King of Wands is coming out. And I've seen this one before. I have a feeling that this card likes me. The King of Wands.
It's a beautiful card, actually. Really beautiful. I love that stag.
This Ostara tarot is so cool.
I love it. I love that stag. Very beautiful. Yeah.
So fiery yet focused, I guess, huh? Because the king, being very experienced, he knows already what to do with all those, you know, those flames and fire, the desire, and how to. Because desire, as such, you can't do anything with that, but you need it as an engine, like, you know, to propel you towards that goal that you want to reach. It's very good because it gives you that energy. But then if it's going all over the place, it's worth nothing, no? Like, it's just going to confuse you and slow you down. So, yes, focus. Focus, very important. If you can focus your energy, you can move mountains. But then this is not really answering your question, is it?
Okay.
You want to know how to focus.
Put another card for how.
Yes. Oops.
Because basically the King of Wands showed us the issue very clearly.
Yes, it often happens like this when I pull cards. There is the seven of wands. Again, wands though. There's something with that desire and that fire inside of you. And the seven is it's to reach out, to again kind of to do the work, but to do it on all the levels, and to go beyond what you think is possible. Maybe you feel limited in a way, but you are not really. This is how I feel about the Seven of Wands.
It's
That
a
you
really,
that you feel your
I mean, that is probably one of the most beautiful Seven of Wands I think I've ever seen in my life. I don't think I've ever seen a Seven of Wands quite like that. What's going on all those levels? Are they
all those
I just,
levels.
what's going on all those levels though?
There is little houses, and then there's like that little figurine, the girl, and there's like she's sleeping on one level, and she's just like barely holding on to the other level, and then she's looking kind of lonely and sad on the other one, and but now, finally she comes on top, right? Like that's the idea. Like if you keep going, don't give up. Like there's something to be gained from all levels, but the idea is that, that you keep pushing through and that you will eventually get there, So maybe the idea about the focusing here is
Yeah.
that you might think that you're not focused, but maybe to be unfocused is exactly what you need, Maybe this is helping you to focus on the things that matter.
Yeah, I
That's
quite
what
like
I'm
that,
getting
Tinie.
from.
I quite like that insight, that last insight.
That's what I
And
get.
the other thing I kind of got from it, which is slightly different, is the need to really focus on one thing at a time,
Also, yes.
and to not actually be thinking 3 or 4 steps ahead.
Totally, because you can only climb one ladder at a time, right? To loop it back to the card. Yes. Yes. Very true.
Thanks, Tinie. That was a bit of
So
a difficult question. Sorry.
no, it's good.
How can
Yeah.
I focus on focusing?
Yeah, but this is a thing that I have realized, that if you try and remember something and you're like really like so much of how we function actually works best when we relax, no?
Yeah.
We are creatures that just don't seem to be on our best when we are stressing. So I
And
think
especially when it comes to tarot reading, because I think there's so many factors at play. You're worrying about, you want to deliver a meaningful reading for the person. You don't want to go blank. You want to be able, your mind's worrying, trying to kick in with all the traditional meanings, and yet your intuition's trying to speak. So there's quite a lot of stuff going on.
a lot going on,
And
yes.
yeah, so it's quite difficult to remember the question, but I like your advice, because basically what you're saying is actually maybe it doesn't matter, because you can just go off. Then you can just go off and maybe get more insights from doing that. And that's just in relation to tarot. Of course, there's other areas of life that it's not going to be very helpful for me to do that.
Yes. And then also, like, we're talking about the wands, so it's creativity. In the end of the day, the only way is up, no? So you, as a creative being, as a human creative being, you will learn, you will expand, you will get better at whatever you're doing. And exactly as you said, focus on the thing that you think is the most important, and this will grow, and this will you will get better at that thing, or succeed at that one thing.
Thank you, dear. Well, thanks so much.
It's
I
my
enjoyed that as
pleasure.
ever. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, Sophie, for being there
Yes, you
and being
too. Have a rest
such a
of a
wonderful tarot reader.
wonderful weekend. Oh,
I will do some daily tarot today. I will dig into the course some more.
okay. Oh, yes, good. Yeah, I actually mean to download the course and do some more. I just haven't got the time at the moment, but I need to. I want to make the time to do that. But there's
Yes.
so many resources out there. It's incredible.
Yes.
Oh, and I've just bought this
Aha.
because it's one of the classic tarot books, 21 Ways to Read a Tarot Card by
Is
Mary
it?
K. Greer. Have you got this book?
No.
No, I just thought I know it's a classic. I
Wow,
know
it
it's sort
looks
of
big.
Yeah, it's one of the older classic books. I don't remember when it was written, but it's not. I don't think it's a particularly modern one. Actually, it's not 2006, but that's got a load of exercise to work through. So I haven't really looked at that yet. But it'd be quite nice to work from a book as well.
Cool. I want to get into the
day.
thought system. You heard about this thought thing? It's more into the occult, like more Jodorowsky related, I think.
The Thoth Tarot, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is something that is calling me somehow. But as we said before, this buying of decks and books, and maybe I need to wait until some money comes in before I
Or
spend
wait till
more.
Christmas. Christmas is coming up. The problem is
Yeah.
nobody ever buys me tarot decks. It's like my kids do sometimes, or at least they try to.
Yeah.
They bought me a tarot card box
Gift
once, but it was too small.
coupons. I did.
Anyway, bye,
Sophie, have a great day.
you
See you
do all the
next
best. Loads of
time.
love.
Bye.